In a tense and revealing session before the House Foreign Affairs Committee, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio faced sharp questioning regarding the fiscal year 2026 budget request for the Department of State. The hearing, which took place on May 21, 2025, showcased a clash of perspectives on U.S. foreign policy and the administration's approach to international relations, particularly in light of recent geopolitical tensions. The committee hearing aimed at scrutinizing the proposed budget and its implications for U.S. diplomatic initiatives quickly escalated when Congressman Brad Sherman, a vocal critic of Rubio's policies, engaged in a heated exchange. Sherman accused Rubio of failing to adequately address the needs of Venezuelan refugees, many of whom have settled in his home state of Florida. "You used Venezuelans in your hometown for political gain. Now you've betrayed them," Sherman asserted, highlighting the disconnect between Rubio's political rhetoric and the lived realities of the community he represents. Rubio, defending the administration's priorities, emphasized the critical role of the budget in enhancing U.S. global leadership. He stated, "Our investments in diplomacy and development are essential to counter threats and promote stability worldwide." He argued that the proposed budget, which allocates significant resources to address humanitarian crises and support democratic movements, is designed to uphold U.S. values and interests abroad. However, Sherman's pointed critique suggested that many lawmakers believe these efforts fall short, particularly in addressing the immediate needs of vulnerable populations. The backdrop of this confrontation includes mounting frustrations within Congress over the administration's foreign policy strategies, which some argue have been inconsistent and reactive rather than proactive. The heated dialogue reflects a broader unease regarding the direction of U.S. diplomacy under Rubio's leadership, especially as global challenges such as the crisis in Ukraine and tensions in the Indo-Pacific continue to evolve. As the committee continues to deliberate on the budget request, the dynamics of this exchange underscore the contentious atmosphere surrounding U.S. foreign policy. Observers note that this clash is emblematic of a larger struggle within the party and among lawmakers regarding the best approach to international relations in a rapidly changing world. Now, as the Senate prepares for its own review of the budget and the implications of these discussions loom large, it is clear that Rubio's ability to navigate these challenges will be critical. The coming months will likely reveal whether he can reconcile the divergent views within Congress and formulate a coherent strategy that not only addresses immediate humanitarian concerns but also strengthens U.S. standing on the global stage. With both domestic and international pressures mounting, the path forward promises to be anything but straightforward. In an unprecedented gathering at the Pentagon, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth led a Christian prayer service on May 21, 2025 that has sparked discussions about the intersection of faith and government. The event, held during working hours in the Pentagon's auditorium, drew a standing-room-only crowd and included remarks praising President Donald Trump as a divinely appointed leader. This initiative is part of a broader trend towards the integration of Christian values within official government functions during Trump's second term. The service, titled the Secretary of Defense Christian Prayer and Worship Service, featured Brooks Pottiger, pastor of Hegseth's church in Tennessee, as the main speaker. Hegseth expressed his intention for this gathering to become a monthly occurrence, reflecting a significant shift in the Pentagon's approach to religious observance. It remains unclear whether future services will include diverse religious leaders from non-Protestant denominations or other faiths, as inquiries to Pentagon Press Secretary Sean Parnell went unanswered. In his opening remarks, Hegseth emphasized the importance of prayer during tumultuous times, stating, "This is precisely where I need to be, and I think exactly where we need to be as a nation at this moment." He underscored the belief that divine guidance is crucial for national leadership, reflecting a sentiment echoed throughout the service. Attendees, including military personnel and civilian employees, participated actively, responding with amen during prayers that called for wisdom and strength in service to the nation. The event is notable not only for its spiritual overtones but also for its alignment with Trump's administration, which has made overtures to conservative Christian groups Trump has dismissed concerns regarding potential violations of the First Amendment, which prohibits the establishment of a state religion, and has actively promoted a conservative Christian agenda, including an executive order banning anti-Christian bias in federal operations. Pastor Pottiger's sermon included prayers for Trump, thanking God for his leadership and stability. He also asked for divine protection and wisdom for the president, reinforcing the notion of a government led by Christian values. This dynamic echoes a broader cultural trend observed during Trump's presidency, where faith and governance appear increasingly intertwined. The event at the Pentagon raises questions about the implications of religious observance in a government setting. Critics argue that such practices could alienate service members of different faiths or those who identify as secular, while supporters view it as a necessary acknowledgement of faith in public life. As the Pentagon continues to navigate these waters, the potential for increased religious expression within military and governmental institutions remains a topic of significant debate. Looking ahead, Hegseth's commitment to making these prayer services a regular fixture suggests that the trend of incorporating Christian practices into government functions may continue to gain momentum. This development could prompt further discussions about the role of religion in American public life, especially within institutions that historically maintain a separation of church and state. As faith and governance intersect, the consequences of these events will be closely monitored by both supporters and critics alike. In a significant move that has drawn attention across the political spectrum, the Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is set to release a comprehensive report through the Make America Healthy Again MAHA Commission. Scheduled for unveiling on May 22, this report aims to shed light on the alarming role of environmental toxins in ultra-processed foods and the rising rates of chronic diseases among American children, a topic that has increasingly ignited debates among health advocates, scientists, and policymakers alike. The MAHA Commission was established shortly after Kennedy took office following an executive order signed by President Donald Trump on February 13. It was tasked with investigating the contributing factors to what Kennedy has termed a childhood chronic disease crisis. The upcoming report will highlight critical findings, including concerning data from a 2022 Centers for Disease Control and Prevention study, which revealed that 87% of children tested had glyphosate, a widely used herbicide, in their urine. Glyphosate is prevalent in many food products, particularly those treated with commercial herbicides such as Roundup, and its linkage to health issues has been a contentious point of discussion among experts. Vani Hari, a prominent food activist, emphasized the significance of the report, stating, "It is literally President Trump declaring war on the ultra-processed food and pesticide companies." This sentiment echoes a broader concern that Americans, particularly children, are suffering from an escalating array of health problems attributable to their environments and diets. The report will also be accompanied by the results of a poll indicating widespread public support for the MAHA agenda, which aims to address the intersections of nutrition, health policy, and corporate accountability. Notably, the poll revealed that an overwhelming 88% of likely voters believe that drug companies should be held financially responsible for any harm caused by their products, showcasing a rare convergence of opinion between Republican and Democratic voters. Kennedy has long been a vocal critic of both the pharmaceutical and agricultural industries, asserting that they profit from maintaining the very chronic ailments that afflict millions of Americans. His initiatives since taking office include plans to phase out artificial food dyes and curtail the use of fluoride in drinking water. Furthermore, he has directed his department to conduct studies aimed at identifying environmental toxins linked to rising autism rates, despite ongoing debates within the scientific community regarding the causes of autism. The report paints a troubling picture, with Kennedy claiming our kids are the sickest kids in the world. The commission highlights factors such as sedentary lifestyles driven by technology, the pervasive consumption of ultra-processed foods, and overprescribing medications as urgent issues to address. However, while the report identifies these critical concerns, it has been critiqued for lacking concrete policy solutions. As the nation anticipates the full release of the Maha report, experts are urging the administration to move beyond identification of problems and work towards tangible policy changes. Dr. George Benjamin, executive director of the American Public Health Association, remarked, "The problem is that they need to come up with meaningful solutions. The next phase will involve developing actionable recommendations to tackle the issues outlined in the report, which Kennedy has promised will be forthcoming within the next 100 days. In a landscape already fraught with challenges, including potential budget cuts to health programs, the Maha initiative's future will depend significantly on the administration's ability to secure funding and political backing for its proposals. As Kennedy and his team prepare for the report's release, anticipation is building not only for its findings but for the subsequent actions that will follow. The Maha Commission's ability to translate its findings into effective policy will be crucial as the nation grapples with the intertwined crises of child health and environmental safety. In a significant development that intertwines ethics, foreign relations, and the role of government officials, Senate Democrats have initiated an inquiry into Attorney General Pam Bondi's involvement in the controversial acceptance of a luxury private jet from Qatar as a gift to former President Donald Trump. The request, made on May 21, 2025, raises serious questions about the legality and appropriateness of such a transaction, particularly given Bondi's previous lobbying work for Qatari interests. A letter addressed to the Justice Department's Inspector General, signed by 8 Democratic members of the Judiciary Committee, highlights concerns that Bondi's approval may have facilitated a circumvention of constitutional and ethical boundaries. These reports raise the troubling possibility that the Department and Attorney General Bondi personally were integral to this scheme by crafting a legal justification to enable the President to circumvent the Foreign Emoluments Clause of the Constitution, federal bribery and ethics laws in Congress, in order to acquire one of the largest foreign gifts in our history, the letter stated. The luxury jet, valued at approximately $200 million, is intended to serve as an upgraded Air Force One for Trump, but will require extensive modifications to meet security standards. The senators pointed out the potential conflict of interest stemming from Bondi's previous lobbying for Qatar, questioning whether her involvement undermines public trust in the Justice Department. Prominent among the senators advocating for the inquiry is Adam Schiff of California, alongside notable figures such as Richard Durbin, Cory Booker, and Chuck Schumer. Their concerns echo a broader unease among lawmakers regarding the implications of the deal, particularly the perception that it could allow foreign powers to exert undue influence over the president. Schumer has already indicated he will place holds on Justice Department nominees until Bondi provides clarification on her role, a move that could complicate the Senate's legislative process. Moreover, the Qatar deal has sparked bipartisan apprehension about the prudence of outfitting a private jet with security features only to potentially transfer it out of government service after Trump's presidency. This situation has prompted Schumer to propose legislation that would bar the Pentagon from utilizing federal funds for the acquisition or modification of such aircraft for presidential use. As the inquiry unfolds, it will not only scrutinize Bondi's actions but also the broader implications of foreign gifts to U.S. officials, particularly in a politically charged environment where ethics and accountability are under intense scrutiny. The situation is emblematic of the ongoing challenges facing the U.S. government in navigating complex international relationships while maintaining ethical standards. In the wake of this controversy, Bondi also found herself in the spotlight regarding a tragic incident involving the shooting of 2 Israeli embassy staffers in Washington, D.C. She condemned the attack, labeling it horrific while confirming that authorities believe the suspect acted alone. Increased security measures have been implemented in response to the incident, which further complicates the political landscape in which Bondi operates. As this multifaceted narrative continues to evolve, the outcomes of both the inquiry into Bondi's role in the Qatar jet deal and the investigation into the shooting incident may have lasting ramifications for U.S. foreign policy and domestic governance. The implications of these events will likely remain a focal point for lawmakers and the public as discussions about ethics and accountability in government intensify. In a whirlwind of high-stakes negotiations and public drama, Scott Bessent, the top U.S. Treasury official, is set to meet with European Union representatives today, a move that underscores the urgency of resolving ongoing trade tensions between the U.S. and its global partners. As the world watches, discussions are expected to focus on tariff rates and potential trade agreements that could significantly impact international markets. The backdrop to this pivotal meeting is a statement from Bessent emphasizing that without satisfactory trade agreements, the U.S. will revert to reciprocal tariff levels, a move that could escalate trade conflicts and lead to economic repercussions for both sides. Bessent's comments reflect a broader strategy aimed at reinforcing the U.S. position in global trade, particularly as the Biden administration seeks to re-establish its influence following the tumultuous Trump years. In a related twist, the media spotlight has turned to Elon Musk, who recently reacted to an article detailing his turbulent relationship with the Trump administration. The Atlantic published a piece alleging that Musk's influence waned during Trump's presidency, culminating in a heated confrontation with Bessent. According to the report, Bessent shouted profanities at Musk during a meeting, a dispute so loud that it reportedly caught the attention of Trump himself. This public fallout illustrates the fractious dynamics within the previous administration and Musk's precarious standing in political circles. Musk's response to the Atlantic piece was characteristically irreverent. He took to social media, sharing a crying emoji and engaging with a parody account that humorously commented on his perceived decline. "Yo Elon, you good or what? That article got you looking like a sad Victorian poet for real," the parody account quipped. This exchange highlights Musk's unique ability to turn media scrutiny into fodder for online banter, even as the implications of the article stir discussions about his future in the political arena. As tensions mount over trade policies, Bessent's warnings about tariffs underscore the high stakes involved. The U.S. economy is particularly sensitive to trade relationships, with industries from agriculture to technology poised to feel the effects of any shifts in tariff structures. The EU's offer to negotiate fresh trade deals, including concessions such as the inclusion of U.S. lobster in the discussions, indicates a willingness to engage but also reflects the complexities of balancing national interests. In the coming days, all eyes will be on the outcomes of Bessent's meeting and the evolving narrative surrounding Musk. Will Bessent's negotiations yield a breakthrough in U.S.-EU relations, or will they further entrench existing divisions? And how will Musk navigate the challenges posed by this shifting political landscape? As these stories unfold, the implications for both the tech industry and international trade will become increasingly significant, setting the stage for future developments that could reshape the economic landscape. In a move that could reshape the landscape of U.S. immigration, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick announced that the much-anticipated Gold Card visa program, branded under the domain trumpcard.gov, will officially launch within the next week. Speaking at a conference hosted by Axios, Lutnick revealed that the new visa, which requires a hefty investment of $5 million, will allow wealthy foreign nationals to secure permanent residency and work authorization in the United States. Lutnick emphasized the potential benefits of the program, stating, "This is for people who can help America pay off its debt." He noted that by attracting high-net-worth individuals, the U.S. could see significant financial influxes, potentially amounting to $1 trillion if 200,000 visas are sold. This revenue, according to Lutnick, could help fund various government programs and initiatives, alleviating pressures on the federal budget. The Gold Card visa is intended to replace the existing EB-5 Immigrant Investor Program, which has faced criticism for its lower investment threshold. While the EB-5 program allows for permanent residency in exchange for a $900,000 investment, the introduction of the Gold Card appears to signal a shift towards a more exclusive and financially demanding immigration policy. Despite the enthusiasm surrounding the program, concerns regarding its execution remain. Immigration experts point out that the establishment of a new visa category typically requires congressional approval, raising questions about the program's long-term feasibility. David Lesperance, an immigration and tax advisor, highlighted previous missed deadlines associated with Lutnick's announcements, suggesting that there might be underlying issues that could complicate the rollout of the new visa. Lutnick, however, remains optimistic about the program's appeal, sharing an anecdote from a recent dinner in the Middle East where he encountered significant interest from potential buyers. "Basically, everyone I meet who's not an American is gonna want to buy the card if they have the fiscal capacity," he said, showcasing his belief in the program's marketability. As the countdown to the launch of the Gold Card visa begins, the implications of such a program could extend far beyond mere financial contributions. If successful, it may attract a demographic of investors capable of bringing not only capital but also global business connections to the U.S., potentially revitalizing areas in need of economic support. Yet the program faces scrutiny from those who argue that it could exacerbate existing inequalities within the immigration system. With the official launch just around the corner, all eyes will be on how this ambitious initiative unfolds. As Lutnick stated, further details will be revealed soon. But the true test will be whether this program can navigate the complexities of U.S. immigration law and garner the necessary support to thrive. As the landscape of immigration continues to evolve, the Gold Card could mark a significant pivot point in how the United States attracts foreign investment in the coming years.